Hi my loves, welcome to a new video. I hope everybody's doing really well. So I have some incense today and I hope that we look at how beautiful this, okay, so I bought this here in Mexico. Apparently this is from India, but I feel like it's a brand that's based here, white copal. Copal is like super indigenous to Mexico. We only see like people using copal most of the time actually. So yeah, this one's super beautiful. Tribal Soul Incense Smudge Sticks. And then it's in this. It's so beautiful. I almost don't feel worthy to open it, but we're going to do it for the video. So I'm hoping I can get a video out while we still have light. Just to tell you guys about my new webinar. I'm so sorry that I kept you guys waiting so long for the 12 Tribes webinar. I shouldn't have even spoken about it. It was such a huge topic, but this one's going to be slightly different. Okay, I feel like we definitely need a group clearing for everything that we've been going through. So I've been, I just thought just do it. And then I went to Guatemala last week. And while I was in Guatemala, I thought I should maybe do some grid work because I was starting to research. You know, I've been wherever I go, I do like to learn a little bit about the history where I live. That's important, right? So here in Mexico, obviously, just learning about, you know, the different creation stories of different groups of people can teach you a lot about the world. So, and of course it's just respectful, right? When you go live somewhere to learn about the history of that country, about the history that they're, you know, if they've had stories of colonization and things like that. So in Guatemala, I was just like, let's do some grid work. And I asked you guys, I did a poll on Instagram to ask if you wanted to join in on the grid work. So I received a resounding yes, 93% of you, hold on. 93% of you wanted to join in on that grid work. So while I was there, I already pre-recorded and set up the grid and started working with the ley lines, working with the energy, seeing what those grids wanted to reveal. And we did some entity removal. We installed some new templates. It was, it's basically, instead of doing it live while I was there, because I was already there, and generally it takes a little bit of time to kind of put the webinar together, put the Facebook group and all of that stuff, it was going to be too rushed. So I thought, why don't I set up the grid there, pre-record some grid work so you guys can get the light body upgrade right now if you join the Facebook group, and then finish up back here in where I live. I live in Oaxaca State, not Oaxaca City, Oaxaca State on the coast. So we'll be tuning in. My intention is to tune in to the entire region. So this, where we are now, is the center of the Zapotec kingdom, the ancient Zapotecs. And that extends across Chiapas. So Oaxaca was like the center of it. And then it extended across to Chiapas. And Chiapas is really interesting. It's the state right next to Oaxaca. And if you don't already know, but in the 90s there was obviously a huge movement, and they still exist to this day, the Zapatistas, who were, the Mexican government tried to paint them that they were like a cartel, but they were a militia. It was an indigenous uprising, an indigenous intifada, where they rose up against the government because they were being oppressed. Like, they were being given really bad prices on their crops. They were mostly a farming community. Really bad prices. They were being forced to accept them even though they were like barely a living wage. So they got together and they were just like, screw this. And they formed their own kind of, it's almost like a tribal council. Like, they have their own independent state. They have their own tribal, like a small government, okay? So I do think that it's going to be really interesting to look at the ways that the different indigenous groups have fought for their right to self-determination. Obviously, we're looking at what's happening in Gaza and just in Palestine in general a lot at the moment. But just looking at how other groups resisted oppression and resisted tyranny is going to be really important for us going forward. So my intention, and when I set the intentions to do grid work or to do quantum field work with my one-on-one clients, like if we have an intention to go into the fields together and read that person's Akasha and see, decide what to do. Same if you do like a medicine journey. If you want to do like a plant medicine journey, like with, mushrooms or ayahuasca, which I'm not going to tell people what to do. I don't necessarily recommend it. It's not my sort of thing. But if you are going to, I'm not like dogmatic about it, saying that it's, I don't get super polarized about these things. Like if you want to do it, make sure you know how to do it safely. Make sure you know how to shield yourself. Or if you don't know how to shield yourself, do your research or find somebody who can guide you. Make sure the shaman really knows what they're doing. Make sure the shaman's energy is really, really pure and really aligned to God and to benevolence, and that they are in divine service to the people that they work for and the people that they serve, so that you can have a safe journey. But yeah, if you're doing a plant medicine journey, you need to have, sorry, I just got ash on my bedding. You need to have, what's the word? An intention. Like you need to have a really clear intention and a question to ask the plant medicine spirits. 1 second, I need water. Okay. So making sure that you have an intention before you go into the medicine journey, so that you're not just, navigating the field without any direction. And that intention needs to be somewhat focused. I mean, when I did ayahuasca, I had the worst intention when I went in. I literally asked the spirits to show me the truth about everything. And I really, really highly recommend, if you ever do a plant medicine journey, do not go into the field and ask the spirits. Firstly, don't give them permission to just enter you and do whatever they want. I made that mistake because I didn't know. I just wasn't as spiritually aware and evolved or as trained as I am now. And the spirits were talking to me going, let us enter you. And I was like, yeah, okay, I give you consent to enter me and show me the truth about everything. Don't do that. Don't do what I did. I'm not going to go into detail about what happened, but it was not good. Okay, so plant medicine journeys can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. What we're doing is not a plant medicine journey, okay? It's very safe. I also set up the field really safely, similar to a plant medicine journey in that we're exploring the fields, but plant medicines will kind of restrict you to, this reality going all the way up to 7, sometimes 8-dimensional reality, and sometimes even in the underworld. Whereas with quantum field work, we can actually go as high as, however far your vision can see. Now, you as a participant don't necessarily need to be able to see anything, because I will read the field. But the oracle who is reading the field, however much their vision extends, you can just see whatever needs to be seen. So let me think. I'm trying to think. I know that there's a lot of people on this channel now who are new to my work, who won't necessarily know what I'm talking about or won't understand. So let me try and think of like what would be some questions that you guys might have about the quantum field. Okay, so we're doing grid work. Okay, so what is grid work? Grid work is basically where we tune in through meditation, through the pineal and the highest centers, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, to the earth body, and ask to be shown what kind of information that grid has for us. So sometimes it can show us, the field will communicate in symbols, so you'll just see, it can be anything. It can be visions of the history of that area. Sometimes you can see like knights riding horses, or you can even see all kinds of things. It can be like a rose, different colored roses. There's usually templates that want to come in and be activated either within the light body or within that particular grid. Sometimes beings will come in. We make sure that it's super safe and super sealed. We connect directly to the highest light of Prime Creator, God's source. So we make sure that God really, really seals the field, and make sure that no spirits that do not serve the law of one and the living Christ can enter the field. So there won't be any like weird demonic energies unless those are already in the field, and they will reveal themselves so that we can clear them from the field. So if the shared field has demonic entities or any kind of weird dark technology that's running inverted programs either in our light bodies or within the planetary body in that area, then we can pull those out. So I'll just give you a little bit of a rundown what we covered when I did the pre-recorded grid work, and I did this in Guatemala City. Now the ancient name for Guatemala City is Kaminaljuyu, and that was like an ancient Mayan civilization. Now, archaeologists haven't really figured out, as far as I know, they don't know too much about this civilization, but it was actually a series of, and if you go to Guatemala City, you'll see this. It's a series of like mountains or mounds. We don't know what they were. Like they could maybe be burial mounds, or Somerset also has something like this. There's like these mounds. They could have been habitations, but they had platforms on the top. So there was some history that we tapped into, okay? Now, I'll put the link where you can sign up in the description box. It's a Facebook page, so you just send your payment to PayPal. I've priced it super affordably. It's going to be £22, and I also have 5 free slots available for anyone for whom finances is an issue. So if you want to claim one of those spots, DM me on Instagram, or if you're friends with me on Facebook and we've already spoken on Facebook, then you can just DM me on Facebook if that's easier for you. Don't DM me on Facebook if you haven't spoken to me before, though, because I won't see the message, because Facebook have all these other inboxes and stuff. But DM me on Instagram. And if you end up in the other inbox, you can just send me a comment as well saying, hey, I've DM'd you on Instagram if you want to claim one of those spots, because I do expect them to go quite quickly. So yeah, no questions asked. If finance is an issue for you right now and you want to claim one of those spots, you can just ask, and they're first come, first served. For everyone else, it will be £22. And yeah, you'll get one pre-recorded grid work that we already did in Kaminaljuyu or Guatemala City, where we channeled some of the history. We removed some implants and some demonic entities, which I'll talk more about in a second. And we installed some light body upgrades as well. We installed beautiful template. So yeah, where do I want to go next? What do I want to talk about next? Yeah, so that's already in there. That's like a 45-minute light body upgrade and grid work that you'll be able to access. You'll get instant access. You can, if you join the group right now, you'll be able to watch it right now, because I've already put it in the Facebook group. And then once I've decided exactly what date it's going to be approximately 2 weeks from now. I'll give the exact time and date that we're going to do the webinar, and it will be live. So we'll be hanging out just like this, except it will be interactive in real time in the Facebook group. And then we'll tune into the grids. So I'll first kind of tune into the grids around here, Oaxaca, and then we'll move over across Chiapas and go all the way to Guatemala City as well, and we'll see what the land wants to show us, and what the wisdom keepers of the land, the elders that have already passed, but who are still kind of custodians of this land and holding wisdom within the grid lines and stuff, will want to show us, obviously with the consent of Prime Creator God Source. Okay, so it's super sealed and super protected. So Princess Diana is coming through quite strongly, and she came through in the pre-recorded grid work, and she had some beautiful light body upgrades for us, some templates that will templates basically install. It's basically a healing technology. So they get installed in different parts of our light body. Like it can be the heart, or it can be the womb, or it can be the pineal, or it can even be within our wider kind of etheric body, or it can be like a shield, or like some kind of bubble. And what these do is they're like frequency upgrades. So they bring in new frequencies or new archetypal energies into our light body, and these can be felt by other people, and they can also manifest new timelines for yourself. They can be like abundance templates that help you manifest more abundance. They can make you more sexually magnetic. They can make you more radiant, more attractive to the opposite sex. So I won't say exactly what template came in, because I just want that to be, I want it to be a surprise. Okay. What else? Yeah, we cleared some Freemasonic symbolism. Obviously, Freemasonry, they work a lot with symbolism and understanding different symbolism. I'm not saying that it's all nefarious, but sometimes Freemasonic technologies, implants that are in our light bodies or are in the grids can sometimes run inversions or mind control programs either on us or within that area. So we cleared some of that, and we cleared 2 very nefarious entities. Okay, one of them was Alien Dark Mother, and she came in the form of a very recognizable movie character. I won't say which because I want it to be a surprise. And the other one was a demented clown archetype that also came in the form of a very recognizable movie character as well. Because sometimes these movies send out like predictive programming that implants certain just certain programs into your consciousness, or sometimes it can make you aware of certain programs that are already in the collective consciousness. So the field is just communicating those programs in the form of those symbolic archetypes, so we can just clear them, bringing in light and sound and healing frequencies. Okay. Burnt myself. Okay, so let me think. What else? Is there anything I want to say? Anything else? Yes. Okay, so there was a little bit of ancient history that got channeled, and I definitely want to tune in a little bit more. Not just the ancient history, but also some of the galactic history, how the ancient history connects to the galactic history. Because obviously, the Mayans in particular, and this might also be true of the Aztecs, they're 2 different, the Mayans, Aztecs, Zapotecs, are different ethnic groups that obviously have a very ancient lineage stretching all the way back to ancient Mesoamerica, and were here all at different times. Their civilization were slightly different times, but they also lived side by side at different times, and they even had bloodline wars with each other, particularly the Mayans and the Aztecs. But there were various Mesoamerican creation stories that are super similar to some of the Indian creation stories, not just Indian, but in North Indian and Khmer. So when I was in Cambodia, there were some of these creation stories around these serpents. Now, obviously here there's a lot of, on these particular grids, there's a lot of Quetzalcoatl energy, who is the feathered serpent. And these feathered serpents, they come up in multiple different creation stories of different groups of people across not just Mesoamerica, but also across Asia and coming to North India, and even some of the African nations, like the Zulus, also have different creation stories of these reptilian beings that hybridized their DNA with, I don't know, maybe like, I guess you could say like from a biblical perspective, like pre-Adamites or whichever beings were here on this earth, to create kind of genetic hybrids. And these were some of the kind of like royal bloodlines, the pharaohs. They have some of these stories, or in the North Indian tradition, it's the Nagas. And in the Zulu tradition, they talk about the Chitahori, like this particular Zulu priest that David Icke interviewed, told him about their creation stories. And this is where David Icke's, you know, all that reptilian stuff, talking about the shape-shifting reptilians, comes from. It comes from the Zulu creation stories. So Mesoamericans have very similar creation stories, and, you know, this very similar. So I've been researching a little bit about it. Firstly, I channeled it, okay? I channeled it without knowing too much about it, okay? Which I actually don't prefer to do. I like to be able to know a little bit, just so that I can be able to recognize what I'm seeing. But I actually think it was better in a way, because it just helps you really start putting it together. Because if you channel something, or if you're shown something in the fields, and then you go research it afterwards, and then your research confirms what you channeled, it just adds a little bit more validity, you know what I mean? So some of the research that I'm doing, I've done since the channeling. So definitely it's going to be interesting. Like, that's my intention anyway, tuning into these grids, to see what we can find out about our shared history. And hopefully the fields will reveal that to us if it's time for us to know that information. And then we'll clear Watiko, which is super important for those of us who've been kind of tuning into the Middle East and to Gaza, and seeing everything that's been happening there, watching all those really distressing and disturbing videos has been quite something. So, you know, that can really fracture your light body, cause tears, leaks, rips, and you can get all kinds of like entity attachments getting into those wounds and making you think like really dark demonic thoughts. So we'll pull all of that out, and we'll bring in the golden light of Christ, of the anointing of God, okay, the divine child, the frequency of unity, consciousness, and unconditional love, just so that we can move forward, you know, as we want, you know, we kind of, the peace within us will reflect with peace outside of us. You know, that's how we want to be moving forward, okay? We don't want to be spreading anger and hatred and, you know, perpetuating all these bloodline wars. We do want to eventually come to a place of peace and unity consciousness. And I'm not saying that in like a kumbaya, like spiritually bypassy kind of way. I'm talking about really descending into the depths of those really dark emotions and just clearing them out and bringing source light in. Okay, so on that note, I think I'll leave it there. If you're interested in joining that webinar, and I hope you all join me, all the information that you need is in the description box below. If you have any questions, you can of course ask me in the comments section, or you can DM me on Instagram. I'll probably also do a poll in my stories as well, where I'll invite anyone to ask any questions, and then post them for all of you to see in the run-up to the webinar. And yeah, I'll love you and leave you guys, and I hope to see you there. Mwah. One love, bye.